And so it's political slavery and economic slavery coming up for us. In addition, these next 50 years, if you have a beard, that's it. You're going to be targeted, hounded like a dog. If you refuse to dress like them, and you want to dress in a manner which identifies you as a Muslim, they're coming after you. You say, I don't want to be part of the blue jeans Jamaat. If you're 17 years of age tonight, I hope you're listening, son. They're coming after you. Because your way of life as a Muslim is going to be ghareeb. That's the word, ghareeb. Something strange, something different from the global society and its universal, uniform way of life. And so life is going to become increasingly difficult these next 50 years. You lose your job because you refuse to take a drink of whiskey. I was interviewed by the government of Trinidad and Tobago for the post of a Foreign Service Officer in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. In many parts of the world, this is a diplomatic job, this is the best job you can get. You are in the elite. They said to me in the interview, Mr. Hussein, we know that you are Muslim. And we know that you Muslims do not drink fire water. But when you are appointed as a Foreign Service officer and you are posted abroad in a diplomatic mission, the government will provide you with a home in which to live. And you will be required, for fulfilling your job, you'll be required to keep alcohol in your home. And Mr. Hussein, we have something more to say to you. You would be required to serve alcohol at your table. Remember, Mr. Hussein, we're not asking you to drink this stuff. We're just asking you to serve it and to keep it in your home. So I told them to get lost. I'm not going to keep it in my home. And I'm not going to serve it at my table. So they replied, they responded, I got the job, but they never posted me abroad. I remained in the job for 5 years without ever getting a diplomatic passport. Because you got to make your first trip abroad. When you make your first trip abroad, then you get your diplomatic passport. So I never got a diplomatic passport. This is what you're going to have to put up with now. So your job that you're holding on to now, and you think you're secure, and with the salary you could pay the monthly mortgage, to which bank? And you have this lovely car in a nice suburb of Sydney, and you praise the Lord for the good life. Remember, if you wish to be sincere to Islam, you're going to lose your job. What are you going to do when you lose your job? Because you do not want to betray Allah and His Messenger. What are you going to do when your wife is being subjected to abuse on the streets because she's in hijab? And I have to say this one, I can't avoid it. He said, sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, one of the signs of the last day is that people will be having sexual intercourse in public like donkeys. And the most honorable man of that time will be one who passes by and sees this couple having sexual relations in public. And he says to the man, can't you at least take her behind the wall? The signs are very plain and clear, and none of you can deny it tonight, that we are well on our way to that day. I met someone in Kuala Lumpur belonging to the Naqshbandi Sufi order. And this man said to me, he said, "Sheikh, that's not tomorrow. I've already seen that. I have seen that on a street of Tokyo in Japan. I saw with my own eyes people having sex in public like donkeys." Okay? This man is in Tokyo. If they're not doing it on the street now, like donkeys, they're doing it in other places. But it's going to come onto the streets. My question to you is, what are you going to do? When you're in political slavery, when you're in economic slavery, when you're part of a global society now which is demonizing you, you're losing your jobs, your wife is being abused, and now your children have to see these things before their eyes, what are you going to do? My answer is, if you're comfortable with that, you can stay in downtown Sydney. But if you're not comfortable with it, then you'll be interested in the rest of the lecture. Surah Al-Kahf of the Quran responds and tells us, وَإِذِ اعْتَزَلْتُمُوهُمْ وَمَا يَعْبُدُونَ إِلَّا اللَّهَ فَأْوُوا إِلَى الْكَهْفِ يَنْشُرْ لَكُمْ رَبُّكُمْ مِنْ رَحْمَتِهِ وَيُهَيِّئْ لَكُمْ مِنْ أَمْرِكُمْ مِرْفَقًا. You got to disconnect from that godless world. It is only when you disconnect, فَافْرِقْ بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَ الْقَوْمِ الْفَاسِقِينَ, the dua of Musa alayhi salam. It is only when you disconnect, only then will Allah's rahmah come upon you. How do we disconnect? Well, you go back to Bangladesh, it's the same Gog and Magog world order. You go Karachi, it's the same like downtown Manhattan. How do you disconnect? The answer is, you got to get out of the godless cities, because the world of globalization is witnessing the countryside being denuded and the masses moving into the cities, of course, to provide cheap labor. As the masses move into the cities, you now have, for the first time in history, mega cities. 10, 20 million people in a city. So we move in the opposite direction from the rest of mankind. That is hikmah. Allah is impressed now by the Muslim who moves in the opposite direction from the global society. As you disconnect from the godless world and you go out into the open countryside, please don't come at me at the end of the lecture and ask me, are we going to abandon those in the city? Are we going to have da'wah in the city? Do not come with that question at the end of the lecture. Because we are not isolating ourselves. No. In fact, we can do far more da'wah from that village than we can from downtown Sydney. We go and buy land where land is cheap, and where there's water, fertile land. 10, 20 years from now, when this audio tape is in the hands of a little 17-year-old who's not even born today as I'm speaking to you, in his heart this fire, this flame will be burning now. I want to go and do it. Go and buy land where land is cheap and where there's water. And you're far enough away from the godless world. The farther you are away, the better it is. And go and establish Allah's deen. Not at the macro level, because that's not possible, but at the micro level, because that is possible. In this Muslim village, you're not going to abandon jihad. Oh no. The Muslim village cannot threaten the state. Absolutely